Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Want to bet? Then get in on the action at Sports Interaction. The boys of summer are back on the diamond, and March Madness is on deck. Bet pre-game, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Or in Ontario, download the app now using the QR code at the bottom of the screen. 19 plus, please play responsibly. The New York Rangers have been sensed. Welcome back, everybody, to Game Over Ottawa. I'm Maude, as always, and joining me today, we've got Bosty, baby.
Perfect. Hey, 3-0 when I appear on the podcast. That's kind of a pretty good record. So, am I going to be here for the rest of the season? Are the Sens just going to win the rest of the games? Are we winning out? Is it cup time?
Maybe. I'm kind of getting some vibes like we might be going on a little run here. Maybe we'll have to get you on here as much as we can because you are undefeated so far.
And this one was a real one. I still claim the undefeated before, but it was against like Arizona, and I think I can't remember who the first one is. Maybe like Montreal.
I think we had Philadelphia, and then I think I had you on against Nashville as well. So those are all non-playoff teams. Those three.
Okay, I'll still take it. I'll take anything. The bar is very low for me to make a claim and fan my ego. But let's stop talking about me. The Sens, baby.
Hell yeah. And I think we got to talk about Jakob Chychrun right away because this is our first show since the trade. And I think before I want to get into the details of the actual trade a little bit too, but I think before we do that, I want to ask you, what did you think of his game tonight?
It was very clear that he is a player who hasn't played for 2 to 3 weeks and has not even practiced with the team. But that being said, he still looked like he had... Well, he looked like another level from who we've been playing. Mm-hmm. And the amount of times he had his stick in the right place, making it really, really hard for the Rangers to get anything going on their 11 minutes of power play that they had in the first half of the game. And just his pure strength on the blue line. The amount of times he got the puck, kept it in, got a shot off. It's a far cry from the Hamonic shots that have been coming from the blue line.
Oh, yeah.
His are next level. What about you, though? What do you think? You think he's good?
Yeah, I was really happy with him tonight. Like you said, considering he hasn't played in 3 weeks, you could expect some rust. But yeah, like you said as well, the great defensive stick. And I was also really happy with him jumping up into the rush as well. I liked that we got to see both sides of his game, that two-way game, actually seeing, because sometimes the defenseman will get credited as a two-way guy, but they kind of lean more one way or the other. But I think we saw both tonight, which was awesome, and we got to see him on the power play as well too. And even with that slight little injury scare, he still ended up with 19 minutes on the night, which is pretty good considering he hadn't played in 3 weeks. I was very happy with him tonight. I'm
curious to see where he's going to land. I don't know if they're going to be keeping him on that third pairing where Branny was. Are they going to try and slot him in instead of Hamonic? I feel like he's just everything Hamonic might have, but better. So that's where I just want to push him right into that slot because I just think it's gonna get Sanderson and it's gonna get Chychrun into a really nice little I'm getting ahead of myself, but that could be the pairing for the Sens. Like we could have Zub and Shabbat, Chychrun and Sanderson for the next 6 years. Mm-hmm. What's going on? It's kind of amazing just how quick our perceptions of the Ottawa defense changed with just this one acquisition.
I think there was one shift in the second period where I saw Sanderson and Chychrun out there together. I don't know if it's just that they were changing, but I saw that briefly and I was like, oh my God, here we go. This is what we've been waiting for. So it was
it's time.
Yeah, I get easing him in on the third pair and putting him with a safe veteran and Holden. I definitely understand that decision, but I think we're all looking for him to get up into the top 4 there for sure. And
yeah, absolutely.
Shouting out Jared in the chat, he says that you manifested the Chychrun deal. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I got to give credit to Jared. He's being humble here. Is yesterday, or maybe it was after the Detroit game. He texted me saying, "If the Sens trade for Chychrun tomorrow, I think we could get him into the lineup for the game against Patrick Kane." So Jared had a part there, but I'm pretty sure on every single game over I've been, also when I was on the Zoomcast, every single time I say, Pierre, who cares what we have to give up? It's Jacob Chychrun time. He's exactly what this team needs. He's exactly why we have prospects and picks. Wait, we haven't even gotten to the fact that this trade happened where we still have Pinto and Greg on the team. Like,
Yep.
I can't believe it.
We still have all those
It doesn't make
prospects.
any sense.
It's
It makes
insane.
no sense. Oh, I'm elated. It's so good. But we can see the difference that this makes. It gives us so many options from the back end. It gives us so many different kind of systems that we will be able to play through rather than 40-minute Thomas Chabot ice time, where he has to do all the hard work. And it's just, I'm excited to watch our game on Saturday, but I'm even more excited to watch our game in the middle of March when he's had time to gel and set up, because it's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest impact really is not having to play Chabot so much, like you said. Like,
yeah.
Regardless, here's the thing. I definitely want to see Chychrun in the top 4, but you could also do a bit of a Tampa Bay setup where they had Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, and just kept them all on the left side, and they would kind of play them evenly with Hedman getting the edge at the top. And I think that's another strategy that could potentially be done. Like, it's nice that we have these options, right?
Oh, it's crazy, and I think the league is really moving a lot more into those sort of fluid, flexible lineups. Like, if you look at some of the more successful teams, Tampa Bay, they're a complete team. They're the most complete team that's ever existed in the last 5 years, from top to bottom. It's their third line can be their first line if they need to, and their third pairing can be their first pairing. So if Ottawa is going to start mirroring a team and a style, I would very much be here to watch our team slowly morph into a Tampa Bay style, and then win 2 cups in a row and make a finals in the third. I could live with that.
Yeah,
I could go there.
Could go for that. And
maybe we'd have to win the third though for the unparalleled success.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We gotta live up to those standards. And speaking of options on the decor, we haven't even mentioned that Brandstrom didn't even play tonight, and he's been great lately. So the depth, man, like all of a sudden, the Sens having depth on defense is so weird to me.
And like, we still have, well, like Larson, he's fine, but we still have JBD and Lassie Thompson as well, who they've taken a big step this year, but they could even take a bigger step in the offseason, kind of challenge for some of these slots. I was looking at the lineup. I don't know what I would do in this offseason. Like, maybe a tool here or there, but like, you have Crookshanks, Sokolov, Grieg coming in. Do you really go out and get anyone else for that depth? And then you have this left side defense, and if Chychrun can play the right side, which he has in the past, you don't need Pierre's given himself a summer off. Like, he is fine. And sorry, Matt LaRose, aka Axe Matty, asked what I'd cut in the playoffs, and maybe a Bruin if we make it. I'll find a live, or not a live Bruin, and I'll get 1.5. Or who else could we play in the first round? A Hurricane?
Yeah, it would be Boston or Carolina.
It's gotta be Boston, but yeah, I'll go outside. I'll be like one of those people who shoot at a hurricane. I'll go out with my big sword and
gonna
try
wrestle
and
a bear
in half. Yeah, exactly. Oh,
but yeah, where's it gonna go? I'm just gonna shout out Charlie in the chat with a stat for the haters. We have to mention Stutzle has more goals than Matthews in only 2 games and 2 more periods played, which that's just another amazing stat. Like, Stutzle just absolutely off the charts this year.
Well, I've been saying this. Like, this is the Stutzle I thought I would see when he was 25, 26, really experienced. I thought we'd see like 20 goals this year, maybe 35 assists or something like that, and I would have been elated. That makes me look stupid, because this guy, our lovely little German boy, is just dancing. He is making how many times did you notice Lafreniere?
Literally
I can
zero.
count on one hand. Yeah,
I
one hand,
and
it was once. And it was because I thought someone else was him, and then I saw it was Lafreniere. I'm like, oh, okay, there he is there. It is absolutely insane that it worked out this way, that Stutzle has far surpassed Lafreniere and far surpassed Byfield. And it feels like it's fate, you know? I don't want to get into this, but it's just like, we went through so many hard times, and it was just like that Stutzle pick. And then the Sanderson pick, which kind of had a lot of question marks at the time. These players just turning into exactly what we needed them to do. It just feels like things are coming up. We've had so much good news in a row that I'm just like, a cup's got to be there. In the
Hmm.
next 2 years, we've got to get one for Daddy Giroux and just kind of roll with it. And I watch this team. I watched them on Detroit, and it feels like this team is so engaged, so hungry. They
Hmm.
want this that
They
I
want it
think
so
it's going to
bad.
happen. I think it's going to happen. 2007, it felt like we were owed it because we were the best team for like 8 years in a row and just could never beat Toronto.
Yeah.
2017 was a mystery. Like that just we snuck in and we did it.
No one
But
can
this one,
explain 2017
yeah,
other than
it was the
Carlson.
best. Yeah, yeah, Eric Carlson and somehow Clark MacArthur, just kind of the clouds a lot parted, and we got a little touch from God to get a little fun in there. But this one, it feels like some strategy was in place. They're playing some ridiculous hockey, and as they get better, it's just what it's 1 cup, 2 cups. We'll see if we can get 3 or 4 in a decade, but it really is an exciting time to be a Sens fan.
Yeah, Dorian with those absolute home run draft picks in Stutzle and Sanderson, just absolutely knocking it out of the park and setting us up so well for the future. And that Stutzle contract as well. And I bet
Oh,
he'll get Sanderson to a good contract as well. Like, I I have faith in Dorian at this point. I have to say.
like it's crazy to me, and especially this year with the ups and downs that we've had, and there's been a lot of questioning. Well, is he the guy to really bring us to the next level? Anytime that, well, not anytime in the last year and a half, 2 years, if there's questions that are in place, he comes out, he makes it work. The Brady contract, we thought we were in it for a long kind of holdout. We thought we'd have to overpay. It's a underpay at this point when
Yeah.
you watch that guy on the ice. Then Timmy Stutzla just, yeah, no, we're not going to do a bridge deal. Here you go. You're here. Josh Norris, who isn't even playing, we have him locked up for a long time. This Chychrun deal means that DeBrincat is completely on the table.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Zub, we've got Giroux. It's just win after win after win, and there's some headaches, of course, but it's just I keep him. You asked me 2 weeks ago. I say, hey, you know what? He's done a great job getting us here. We need someone else to get the last few pieces into it. Not anymore. He's shown that he has the ability to make this work.
Yeah, and you mentioned the cap hit of Chychrun there, allowing us to easily keep DeBrincat. I think that's crucial too because
Huge.
some of the other defensemen that were rumored to be on were like Uyghur and Pareko with like literally making 2 million more on the cap, and like
Yeah.
that would have been so much harder, such a tighter squeeze just to get like a full roster with all the current guys staying, and then like I said, a Sanderson extension in a couple years. So
Well, and a
that to
couple of
me,
years too, with both Chychrun and Sanderson who are going to be up for it. The cap's supposedly going to be like 8 or 9 million higher
yeah,
too. Which,
that's true.
all right, cool. Let them cook. We're good.
That's the biggest thing to me that I love about the Chychrun deal is those 2 extra years on the
Yeah.
contract and the cap hit. Like I'm shocked that another team didn't end up paying more for him, really, specifically because of that contract. The key thing for the Sens here is like we were all debating whether or not Dorian should be buying or not. And like our opinions were swayed after those Detroit games, right? Some people were like saying, you know what, go for it. But even if it wasn't for those Detroit games, like even if we split those games or something, I still would have been really happy bringing in Chychrun because he's not a
Yeah.
rental and it's a future piece as well as right now.
Well, that's just it. And I think the big thing that really swayed Pierre to do it right then was those 2 wins were not going to be a top 10 draft pick. Like I'm not. I think this team, as we watch tonight, these Rangers are not the Rangers from 3 months ago. This Tarasenko deal has been fantastic for them. Kane, first game, it's Patrick Kane. There's a lot you can say about him in a lot of different ways, but he's a player who's done it before. They're a good team. They're a real good team. Now in the East, there's a lot of good teams, but we just went toe to toe with them for 60 minutes, played just as offensively as they did, and also just kind of ground them out. We gave them so little space to get any great shots, any great second chances. Talbot came up big, but also Halak in that first period. How
Mm-hmm.
many friggin' saves did he
Robbing
have on?
Stutzla.
Ridiculous. So if you watch this game, like Detroit aside, where we just clowned them, it shows that we're on another level than them. But then you watch us just 2 days later go in and play in Madison Square Garden on an emotional night for Brassard, and they play this kind of game. We're not the Senators from Chris Neal night.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
Yeah.
team that has taken it to another level. I really do think that this Ottawa Senators team is top 8 in the East. And if we didn't screw up November, or you look at the standings, if we just lost like 4 games in overtime.
Man, yeah, it's those loser points. I keep saying
It's
this.
so stupid.
It
It's
sucks.
ridiculous.
Pittsburgh
Us and
has like
Buffalo.
10 loser points.
Yeah,
It's brutal.
it's wild to me that the discrepancy is there.
Yeah, and for all the talk about Chychrun, we have to talk about Derek Brassard as well. You mentioned
Yeah.
him, and I had completely honestly kind of forgotten about it in my head because I'm so focused on this being the Chychrun episode. But amazing from Brassard tonight. I loved his second goal. That was such a filthy move. Like at first when I saw him starting to do the spin, I thought, oh, that's too many moves. Like you're gonna lose the puck in tight, but it totally baited Halak. It was a beautiful goal, and the 2 goals in his 1000th game, just like Chris Phillips. I think that's so freaking cool.
I've been a Brassard. So I didn't think we were going to be as good as we are right now, and I
Mhm.
thought Brassard ate a spot for Greg or Sokolov or Crookshanks, and that never sat well with me at the start of the year.
Mhm.
But he's the only bottom 6 forward. He has 11 goals.
Yeah.
If your bottom 6 has 11 goals, you're doing okay as a bottom 6 player. So I apologize, as I know Derek Brassard right now is in the locker room after donning the goggles watching this. I apologize. You really have made a big difference, and you're big game brass. This was a big game for you, and we got 2 goals and 2 points. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, he definitely lived up to the nickname tonight, Big Game Brass. And from Sens Communications on Twitter, it was Derek Brassard was the 7th skater in league history to have multiple goals in their 1000th game. And I just think it's funny that the Sens have had 2. Like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah. It's gotta be.
That's totally ridiculous.
Friggin' hilarious. Charlie has a point too, though. We were really all over the place in the first half.
Yeah, all those penalties.
Bad penalties. And we still managed to come out. It's just kind of, well, even against Detroit, our penalty taking, it's been great for us because we're killing most of them. So we're 4th in the league on penalty kill, which is, remember the Duchesne Uber video where we were talking about how bad our special
That was all
teams
about
are?
the PK.
Yeah, exactly. We're past that. It's kind of nice.
Was that when Boucher was still the coach? I think,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So at least it's no one's still around from that. So that makes sense.
Yeah, completely different team.
But yeah, despite all those rough penalties, I was really impressed with the PK tonight. I guess, and speaking of penalties, we do have to talk about the Austin Watson hit as well. I have to assume you would agree that that was a 5-minute major.
It was a 5-minute major. I don't think it was charging. Like, if you watch where he starts, it didn't look like charging. It was a hit to the head.
Yeah.
So it should be a 5-minute and a game misconduct. I'm fine. I think that game misconduct should be handed out a lot more frequently, because hits to the head have to get stopped. But it wasn't a charge. I don't know why they didn't want to call it a hit to the head. It should have just been a hit to the head. But yeah, kick him out 5 minutes. And as great as Maude was in the Detroit game, I stayed till the end of his interview and cheered his name. So I appreciate him, but if there was one player on the team tonight that was going to get kicked out, I am very glad it was him.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate moment for him after kind of becoming the hero in the last couple of games. But I don't know. Are you happy with him potentially staying past the trade deadline now?
I don't. I look at the team. What would we get for him? A third, a fourth, maybe?
Yeah,
which you look at our drafts, and we could definitely use a pick in the first 4 rounds. After that, whatever. But they clearly like him in the room. He has an X factor on the ice that's sometimes good, sometimes bad. I don't see why you make any changes here. This team is so close knit, so tight knit. And like, you listen to them talk about, hey, we're making a push, so Pierre feels good about adding a player. We want this. We feel like we've earned this. They have a mentality that is, we deserve what we're going to get. So we're going to work really hard to get what we get. That didn't make any sense, but y'all know what I kind of mean. So I don't want to change that up. I want to keep this exactly the same. And in the offseason, yeah, we've got time and space to let a couple of players in the bottom 6 walk off and see if internally we can fix them, or if something comes out externally. Absolutely. But you let him ride here. And if we make the playoffs, you know he's going to be 100% every single game. Yeah, he's the player that you want in the playoffs. You don't want him in the regular season. If you could sit him, you would, and just kind of punch him in, because it's going to be a ride with him.
Yeah, I do have to say, with the trade deadline being tomorrow, it would be fun if we brought in another player, just
Yeah.
for depth, maybe even because they've been saying that maybe the Sens will bring in a center. I don't really know what type of deal that would be, if it would just be like a fourth line type center, or if they're thinking more of like a rental and kind of move Pinto down in the lineup. I'm kind of curious to see if anything ends up materializing with that.
Who's left? I'm trying to think of who's left.
That's the
as
thing, is
center.
thinking of who's left.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever ends up getting traded tomorrow is going to be people that like you didn't expect to be traded, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which would make it fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to who's on. So Lars Zellers was moved. He was someone that I had kind of on the peripheral. I think he would make sense, but
Yeah.
he got moved to a pretty good one. All right, cap friendly. Show me the pending pending UFAs. Who's on Washington?
Yeah, Washington being a big seller. I was
Sean Monahan. He can be someone.
Man, when was the last time he played? I think he's been out for like months.
Oh yeah, actually you're right.
If not though, that would be awesome. I think I had seen Kevin Hayes' name thrown around, but I had to go to Cap Friendly to check the term on his deal, because obviously when I saw Hayes mentioned, they were saying like at 50% retained, which would be good, but he has 3 more years on his deal after that. So I don't think, like, after bringing in Chychrun as the guy with term, I think if we do add another player here, I think it has to be a rental or someone on like a steal of the contract.
You know who I wouldn't hate?
Yeah.
Bonino out of San Jose. He's old. I don't know if we want to add another 35-year-old player. That's my only concern. But Nick Bonino, he's got a lot. He's steady, and we all know the Bonino moments out of Pittsburgh. So he does have the experience there.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be expensive. I bet we could get him for like.
You could get him super cheap.
Yeah, you could get him for a 5th rounder. Like, I'm trying to think of like a middling prospect out of Belleville. Like, just anything that would work off that.
Hey,
You
10 goals on the year.
couple
That's more than anyone in our bottom 6 except Brassard. So I wouldn't
That's
complain.
exactly it. Yeah, and I've got a couple of buds who are big San Jose fans, and they love Bonino for just the stability he brings to a line.
Okay.
I just worry that he's going to be. It would be an interesting move at this point for him to come out there, but probably not bad. Who else? Derek Ryan, Colin White, baby.
Oh,
come on down.
I guess,
are you allowed?
He must be on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, I think he was just a 1-year deal out of.
Yeah, could we?
But are we allowed to do that?
I don't know. I don't know how that works. I feel like if a team, like, it might not. I feel like it might not even be in the rules, because what a weird scenario it would be to reacquire a player that you bought out. I guess maybe if you're trying to circumvent the cap, like buying them.
Well,
out
I
and then
remember
bringing them back.
Washington, I think, traded Brooks Orpik to, was it Vegas? I can't remember who immediately bought him out, and then Washington re-signed him.
That's
at
right.
The half-price contract where the buyout kind of topped him up.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there's something you could do. We could make something happen there, but still.
I don't know if Whitey is the guy at this point, though.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It would be funny because they loved him so much in the room.
Yeah.
All right, I've gotten far
guy.
enough down the page that I'm seeing Dylan Gambrell's name as pending UFAs.
Oh
So
my
I think
God.
I'm gonna stop afterwards for anyone there.
Hey, shout out to Gambrell with another assist tonight, though. He's on fire lately.
Is that 4?
shocking? I think 4. It's 3 or 4 or something. Let me see. Yeah, 4 assists on the year now, and he had like a 30-game pointless streak. So that's pretty sick.
He had like 1 assist in 100 games or something insane like that. So like, good for him. He must be enjoying himself, and I think they're happy that a whole bunch of stuff is working. Yeah, Charlie, Eric Stahl would be interesting.
Yeah.
I hate Eric Stahl personally. He runs goalies, and I always get real mad. But yeah, it would be hilarious if Florida sells.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I would love that.
Can Florida? We're ahead of Florida.
Yep.
Like last year's Florida record-setting whatever team, 100-point, 300-point players or whatever stupid thing it was. Wild.
They're missing that Huberdeau and Barkov chemistry, I think. Like, Kachuk has been great, but like I think it disrupted their team too much, and losing Uyghur on the back end, that's tough.
Well, it's exactly it, and that's the problem when you sign a goalie like Bobrovsky to a $10 million deal.
That's rough.
You can't do it. Poor goalies, you think about them. There's only 30 or 64 positions. You can't really make that much money. You kind of have the worst job on the ice. Like, you got to be dumb to be a goalie, but they're always my favorites. So Let's go.
Yeah, that's
There was.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No. You go. You go.
I was just gonna say that's one thing that I do really like about the Sens' current cap structure is that we're going with cheaper goalies and having a tandem in terms of like Talbot and Forsberg as a tandem has been up and down this year, but I think that's kind of the way to go. Goalies in that $2 to $4 million range and having two of them who can just split the season. Like I really love that Dorian decided to go that route.
I'm wondering what we do next year because
Hmm.
so it's one of those things. Sogard has not proved himself in the AHL, but he's proved himself in the month of February in the NHL with 5 great games. You can't fault the one we lost. That wasn't on him. And he doesn't look out of place, except he loves to drop his stick, and that just terrifies me. If you watch every game he's done, there's at least one moment where he drops his stick and he has to like scramble out to get it. So at this point, so we've heard that the Talbot Senators discussions kind of went nowhere.
Hmm.
I could see them booting it up again.
Yeah.
And I could absolutely see them next year. It's tough because we're gonna have Marilainen, who is having a ridiculous season out in Finland.
Yep.
Do you want to eat a spot in the AHL with Sogard and Marilainen there when they're both the ones that should be starting every game?
Hmm.
Mandolese has shown that he's got some potential. I really like him. I think he's really good, but I don't think he's better than Sogard or Marilainen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if we find an AHL landing spot for him where he can get more consistent time.
Hmm. Yeah.
So those are the weird questions I have. I think Forsberg is one of the most underrated goalies in the league, and I don't know if our friend Louis from the ZooCast is in this chat, but he's a big brain. And we've gone over some stats there, and he can bring up some stats that show that he is very underappreciated. And the fact we had to run him through all of the bad games in November and early December really took a toll on his numbers, and it's not really reflective of his skill. So he's 30, I think, next year.
Still pretty young for a goalie.
Yeah. Exactly. Like Craig Anderson, I don't think we got till he was 31 or whatever, and he ran him till he was
and he's
42
still going.
and he's still ridiculous. So with him in net, and then Sogard playing, maybe I just worry about running Sogard too often, but I really think that's a combination you can go with. As we saw, trading away young goalies or not giving an opportunity with us doing with Gus, which last year Gus did not look like he would ever get to the level he's gotten out in Minnesota. So I don't fault Pierre, but it would be really, really interesting to see if Sogard can have a little run like that too. It's just one of those things where if we have an injury, if Forsberg goes down like the injury he has right now, that's where you gulp, because you've got Marilainen, who has played an OHL season in North America, and that's it. And Sogard, who is ready to run with a starting position, which I don't know if that's true. So that's the big question I have. I do want to watch it. I do want to watch him.
Yeah, but basically before the Detroit games, I was thinking Talbot was going to be as good as gone. Like, there was a rumor that he turned down an extension, which doesn't necessarily mean that he couldn't still re-sign. Just means, like, the one specific offer was turned down. But I think in buyer mode now, I think we're keeping him.
I gotta give. I know I'm going there. I just have to give a shout out to Steve in the chat. He's someone I went to school with, a huge Flyer fan. So Steve, I hope you're enjoying watching Claude Giroux have a season of a lifetime. We were in a hockey pool back when I was in school with him, and he was the commissioner, and we used to cheat every day and change the rules so that our teams were better. And he said that Dante Fabro could be a sent tomorrow, which was someone that was on the record, or on the rumor mill too, which I don't know. Be interesting. It's some fun name. The Sens have a bunch of fun names, so keep that going.
Before we got Chychrun, Fabro was one of the guys I was looking at as someone who could be a sneaky good acquisition. Like, he's been a solid top 4 guy for Nashville for a while now, and he doesn't have like amazing advanced stats, but pretty good as well, considering Nashville's like a middling team.
His age is right in our our wheelhouse as well,
and he would have been another cheap contract as well. But
Chychrun.
Yeah, at this point with Chychrun, if they did somehow get Fabro, that would just be the most stacked decor, I guess.
Well, like, how much does he make right now, Fabro?
I think it's less than $3 million. Like, it's pretty damn cheap.
We could fit him in and then
flip him or something.
Yeah,
I got it here. 2.4, and then he's an RFA at the end of the year.
Which we probably wouldn't be making. Okay, no, again, too ahead of myself. I'm happy with Chychrun, but Fabro Yeah, can you imagine if we put Fabro there? Like if we swapped out Holden and Hamonic for Fabro Chychrun?
If they got another defenseman, that would be ridiculous.
Oh,
I
that would
think
be
I think they're too attached to Hamonic though. I don't
yeah,
think we're
and
gonna see him going out of the lineup anytime soon.
I'm nervous for what happens in the offseason with Hamonic. I don't hate him. I don't hate him like a lot of people do, but I do think that it is the time to move on from him. Someone else asked in the chat a while back about the offside call
Yeah,
and whether there should be a time limit between when the offside happens and when the goal happens. And I think we talked about that on like the first time I was on
I remember talking
Game
about it
Over.
on the show
Yeah,
before for sure.
yeah. It'll be well, I'm trying to think. I don't know how long the puck was in the zone before Brady tipped it in, but it wasn't like Brady had skated that in and scored on the breakaway.
Hmm.
Like he brought it in, cycled it up the boards. We had 2 cycles afterwards, and then it went in. And I am of the mindset that I think if the offside occurs within like 5 seconds of the goal, you should be able to call it. But anything before that, it's
Hmm.
just come on. We can't until we have robots as referees. The human error that is in effect is a part of the game. Like, look, Ottawa wouldn't have been scored on shorthanded if the refs didn't realize that it was our own stick
That's
that
true.
slashed
I was
the guy in
surprised
the
they didn't
face.
review that because I've seen that get reviewed
They
before.
can.
Hmm.
I have no clue
It
why
was
they
really
didn't.
weird.
Yeah, it was wild. It was karma to give us the shorthanded goal against, but
Hmm.
still. But what do you think after a season of offside calls? Usually they're to the benefit of Ottawa, you know? I think
Yeah,
we've only had about 3 goals called back this year or on offsides, and we've had about 5 or 6 again or 4 or against us that we've got called back.
my heart sank when I saw that final replay angle that like proved that it was offside by just like a millimeter. Because if we ended up losing the game after that, I would have
Oh,
been so sad. So thank God we pulled it out in the end. But yeah, in terms of the time that the goal is scored after the zone entry, it's a really tricky problem for me because I
yeah.
definitely agree that the actual zone entry had nothing to do with the goal that was scored eventually. You could argue that every zone entry does lead to a goal regardless if the puck isn't cleared, but the thing is that the other team does have chances to clear it within
Mhm.
that time before the goal is scored. But so, like, in my head, it makes sense, but then I just think about if you set any specific time, like let's say 15 seconds or something, then we're going to be reviewing with the clock. Was the goal scored at 14.9 seconds or was it 15.1 seconds? And then we've added a new element of
Yeah.
razor thin margins, basically. So I feel like it's almost like an unsolvable problem. I really don't know. Like, it feels like it is a problem to me, but I don't know what they should do about it.
I'm getting tired of how many stops for these things happen because I was terrified the Sens were going to let it slip through their fingers. I thought that might have been one of those deflating moments because right afterwards the Rangers brought it to us for like 3 minutes straight, and Talbot came up with some big saves. I think that was also the one where Sanderson had that ridiculous diving block of a shot that was like midair,
Yeah.
like a saucer pass that he
Hmm.
knocked out. Okay, I got to
He's
talk about
so good.
Sanderson
He's
again.
so good.
Like he has 22 points or something, and he is also every game our most steady defenseman.
Hmm.
And this is his rookie season. It is a damn crime that he is not being talked about for the Calder because I think he's better than Beignets. I think Beignets has a much easier job in Seattle being a second line center and just kind of potting in a bunch of goals on a good system team.
Yeah.
Sanderson is on the damn Ottawa Senators, who for the first half of the year had no clue, and
Carrying
he is
Travis
walking.
Hamonic.
Exactly. He should be the Calder winner, and I don't particularly think it's close for anyone else, and he's not even going to get nominated. And I
Yeah,
think
it'll
that,
suck when he doesn't get
oh,
nominated. That's gonna be stupid.
yeah, it's gonna be like I don't know who are the rookies
Here,
this year. Benier's going to
it'll
win
be
it because he's got
Beignets,
like
it'll be
50.
Power, and it'll be Logan Thompson. I think that's what it's gonna be. Which Power is good.
But
He plays more ice time, but I think Sanderson has a bigger
I'd say
impact on the team because
bigger and a harder job.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Oh, and Thompson, whatever. Give it a goal. I do think goalies deserve a little love too, but
mhm.
if you're gonna do a defenseman, I think it's Sanderson by a country mile this season.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And with that, we are pretty much out of time for tonight. Was there
Oh,
any
we
last
could go like
thoughts?
2 more hours. Like
Yeah, I
let's
wish.
just we're just scratching the surface. No, of course not. It's a Wednesday night at 10:30. We've all got some running around our neighborhoods to yell about the Sens and go. But I want do the Sens make the playoffs? Do you think that we're going to catch up to the Islanders? The Penguins won tonight,
Ooh,
but we're
Penguins, damn.
the
I
freaking
hate them. I
Penguins.
hate them.
We're 4 points back from the Islanders with 3 games in hand.
Mm-hmm.
The fate's in our
key.
own hands. Yeah, and I think it's Buffalo is the other team that we kind of have to fight off. We're 2 points, or we're tied with them, or basically we need to gain on Buffalo and just ride it out on Islanders.
Mm-hmm.
You think we're doing it?
If I had to predict right now, I think we'll miss by like 2 points or so, but I think we will get into the wildcard position at least 1 point. Like, I think we'll have a pretty good win streak at some point here and get up, and then we might slip out. I don't know.
That's just it. But you know what? Start of this season, I've tweeted this like 6 times this year. Start of the season, I said all I wanted was after in the new year for the games to matter. And when I bought my season ticket package, I put as many games as I could in February to April. So there's like 4 more games I'm still going.
That's paying off now.
I'm so happy. Like, I've got the last home game is against Carolina, and I swear if that's a clinching game, I will be unhinged. You will see me on Sports Center getting kicked out after throwing, I don't know, like a brick through a window when we win. But let's go, Sens. It's been 5 years since we've had games that matter. And it's just so much fun having games that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep, things are looking up. I am very excited for the rest of this season, as I'm sure all Sens fans are. That's where we're going to leave it for tonight. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to SDPN. Follow Bosty on Twitter. And
if you want.
Yeah. Have a good night, everyone.
It's not great.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.